Boyd Barrett. I think the situation we're in now is obviously thoroughly unsatisfactory, where we as the opposition came in with a whole series of questions regarding the National Broadband Plan process and the question of Minister Naughten's relationships and meetings with David McCourt. The Minister has chosen to resign and then to leave the chamber, but our questions still remain. And I think it's entirely appropriate that the Business Committee will have to meet and someone on behalf of the government will have to come to answer the questions that still remain, because the National Broadband Plan process still remains on track, is still moving despite the numerous problems that now beset it. We hadn't called for Minister Naughten's resignation, but we did think that he had very, very serious questions to answer, and he has chosen now not to answer those questions, but to preempt that with his resignation. This latest step of the scandal arose from Minister's questions yesterday, where I think it was fair to say for anyone who was in the chamber that Minister Naughten was evasive at best in terms of answering questions that arose from Deputy Dooley in relation to the lunch in the Dáil on the 18th of April, the same day, ironically, that he was dealing in the Dáil with the last scandal that he was involved in. And, the Minister, and he's not here to defend himself now, but he chose not to be here to defend himself. It had to be asked, I think it was 3 times, before he gave an answer that gave any information about the fact that he was aware that Mr McCourt was in the building on that day. And we hadn't called for his resignation, but I think if further information had come out about that, for example, any information that suggested he had met with Mr McCourt on that day, I think in that case his position would have been entirely untenable. In any case, based on the information that was already in the public domain, it was clear that Minister Naughten had broken the department rules specifically relating to the National Broadband Plan in relation to his interactions with Mr McCourt. The rules are very clear that meetings will only happen when absolutely necessary in exceptional circumstances, and effectively the Minister or his officials are to try to avoid such interactions. But the Minister accepted an invitation to attend a meeting on the explicit basis from Mr McCourt that the meeting was to reassure them in relation to a series of concerns that had arisen regarding the bid tender had been resolved. So it related explicitly to the bid. Minister Naughten knew about that, agreed to have the meeting. It was entirely inappropriate and it represented a breach of the rules. It was also obviously entirely inappropriate to host a birthday party in the Oireachtas for the daughter of the only bid left standing in terms of one of the biggest most high-value tenders in the history of the state. So Minister Naughten isn't going to answer those questions. That's fine. He's chosen to resign. But I think we still need someone to answer these questions, because I finish on this, is that it seems to me, in terms of the entire process of this broadband plan, you have a litany of everything that is wrong with crony capitalism in Ireland and capitalism fundamentally in Ireland. A process whereby something that should have been a public utility was gone out to private tender, where all of the other bids go out, where it seems that the cost of the bid then rose, the cost of the tender then rose subsequently to that, where in the background, listed as either a major contractor or a partner, is Denis O'Brien's Actavo taking over from SiteServe, and where you just seem to have open door access for people like Mr McCourt and Mr McCourt's family to have birthday parties and so on in the Oireachtas, in the halls of power, absolutely inappropriately.